today. Despite what you heard about the policies and the laws and the new agencies being put into place, there is no single authority who will take this case from you today.
Mr. Taksim, we have some criminal case against investigators from tax police, and we recommend to start criminal investigation, and if we can help you, I think it can be a good example for all business to do such cases. If criminal actions, you have to start criminal procedure against them.
Well, thank you. If I can take your card after this meeting, you'll go straight to court. Thank you.
And unfortunately, we sometimes feel that we're sort of preaching to the converted, because I think in this room it's a lot of business. I think in terms of the organisers, what we may need to do is just, do a summary, and we make sure that these messages are delivered to the people that do make the decisions. But why? Why can't Taksim take his case to prosecution? Agnes. I know you're not in government, but you're close to the government, maybe than we are. So if I'd be devil's advocate, I'll have to ask you this question.
Well, probably I'm not as close to the government as you think, actually. Part of the civil society project. Of course, government participates in this project, but actually just only one out of three members of the project, and two others are international financial institutions and business associations. But talking about this concrete case, of course there are various pieces of legislation in this country which probably do not fit to sort of standard Western practices in various situations. But, for example, I have in my practice several cases already when businesses reported to me allegations on corruption in various institutions, even in tax authorities. And actually, we dealt with this case, and I think in 2 or 3 cases there are already criminal investigations opened against tax inspectors in certain regions. So I think that in your case, probably you are already somewhere, too far probably to start this kind of activity. But I invite all businesses. Actually, when you face sort of attempts to force you for bribe, just come to us. Just refer the case to us, and we will try to do our best in order to make these people responsible and liable. Because I think that without coming to an end, meaning without making concrete people liable for very concrete actions, it's very difficult to make progress in the system. Because all the members of that community, administrators at a lower level, tax inspectors, middle level, and even higher level officials, they have to feel that if they behave wrong, so that sooner or later, and my role is to try to do my best in order to have it sooner, that they are becoming liable.
Enrique, as Steve says, so we don't just want to be here to criticize, but also to help. So, with your experience across the globe, what do you advise on this particular issue?
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that we're not all here to criticize, because indeed I think that there is some room for optimism despite all of the challenges, despite this big reality gap. Because when I first came to Ukraine, I was quite surprised at how vibrant the business community was and how vocal they were, at least in expressing to us the problems that they were facing. And without the support of the business associations, who of course have the support of their member companies, I don't think we would have a business ombudsman today. So there was definitely some courage that was required, and that exists in Ukraine, and I think that it's something that we can still capitalize on. what we were doing in the EBRD when we were looking to finance individual companies was to try and assess the risks that the particular company was facing, given the sector that it was working in, given the potentials to meet foreign officials, to request permits, et cetera, and so we tried from the beginning to devise ways to ensure that the company could manage and be able to resist. And one of the things we often put in place before we agreed to finance a company is an action plan. So you do a diagnostic, you say, here are your risks, this is what you must do. And as a financing institution, we were able to have the leverage, which is the economic leverage, to say, you take this step, and we'll give you the first part of the loan. You take this next step, we give you the second part of the loan. And it was a way to incentivize the companies and at the same time to ensure them that they had some kind of a backup and kind of a support. So financial institutions working in environments like this can certainly be very effective in trying to ensure that the companies do what needs to be done. Changing a corporate culture is easier said than done. It takes many years. We worked with a company in Austria, we worked with a company in Germany who were working in Eastern Europe and in the CIS countries, and changing the corporate environment was very, very difficult, many years. And so it's not an easy path, it's not tomorrow, it's a long, long haul. As Bonucci was saying, it's a marathon. You have to run the distance.
Дмитро, please, want to jump in?
Я хотів би все-таки повернутися до першого запитання, яке, я думаю, дуже є важливим, оскільки всі інші питання, вони більш-менш зрозумілі. І погодитися із Русланом, дійсно, тут була порада активніше заохочувати громадянське суспільство і розслідувальну журналістику, але всі ці речі в Україні вони вже є досить активними. Саме громадянське суспільство, активність і журналісти, вони призвели до Майдану, вони зробили цю революцію. Саме громадянське суспільство в минулому році, в цьому році підготувало і змусило парламент прийняти всі ці антикорупційні закони і зараз активно контролює процес створення нових антикорупційних органів. Але якщо ми подивимося на третій сектор, на приватний сектор, то тут, хоча є певна активність, є певні досягнення, але загалом ми можемо, є певні підстави для критики і для заохочення більш активних дій. Ми не бачимо антикорупційних коаліцій серед бізнесу, і це не тільки multinationals, ми не бачимо такої активності серед національного бізнесу. Бізнес все одно намагається вирішити свої проблеми в двосторонньому порядку, використовуючи чи бізнес-асоціації, чи тепер ще є інституція бізнес-омбудсмена, і це дуже добре, це можуть бути ефективні механізми для вирішення окремих проблем. Але чи вирішимо ми цю глобальну проблему? Я не кажу, що це єдина відповідальність, і вона лягає лише на бізнес, але роль бізнесу в цьому процесі могла б бути більше. Тому я думаю, теж про це варто задуматися і подумати, що можна зробити.
Тобто ще більше голосно, ніж сьогодні було сказано?
Сьогодні це скоріше виняток, коли ось така індивідуальна із вказанням, хто саме, із називанням імен і прізвищ, хто саме перешкоджає, хто саме задіяний в корупції. Тобто це скоріше виняток. Ця заява, яку ми почули. Якби такі заяви були щодня, якби ці заяви, якби вони лунали від бізнес-асоціацій, від коаліцій, не від окремих бізнесів, а від коаліцій, від об'єднань, то це була б зовсім інша увага, і президент, і прем'єр-міністр, вони були змушені з цим рахуватися, і була б принаймні політична відповідальність. Є корупція у фіскальній службі, керівник і міністр фінансів повинні піти у відставку, навіть якщо не притягнені до відповідальності як конкретні особи. Тобто цього тиску, який був такий, цього спільного корпоративного тиску, ми не відчуваємо.
There's a question in the front row, please.
So my name is Pavel. I'm in my role of legal and compliance head for Ukraine and four other countries, mostly in CIS. My question is more not from my role, but I'm also co-founder of a blog, Compliance Periscope, where we write business issue, compliance issues for the business from Ukrainian reality, and we target business, compliance, and legal. So my question is related to the discussion that just happened, and specifically
we have seen from the government, from the bodies of the government, that there's some counteraction to corruption is going, some measures are being taken, but on the other hand, we see that only ombudsman institution has happened, and I'm of the perception that the bottleneck of fighting corruption is law enforcement authorities. And my question is, do you think a private enforcement and private investigation, I mean in the form, let's say, Danone would hire a detective, there would be a law on detective activity, detective would collect evidence, not investigators, but detectives, then an attorney, then detective would pass evidence to attorney, an attorney would file a case directly to the court, omitting prosecution and omitting investigation. This second option, are you in favor of that? I mean, two arguments that I'm feeling in favor of this position, that currently investigators are facing a monopoly, where monopoly it is, I think, very bad. And we see this old Soviet type of suretyship that one protects or covers another, and there is an endless thing. And we have this one particular bottleneck, and to ruin that, okay, we have this National Anti-Corruption Bureau, but we don't know how they will investigate. And again, to reiterate the question, do you think that private prosecution, in terms of collecting evidence and file a criminal case in the court, would be a good instrument for the business, or it will be a grenade, monkey and grenade thing?
Who would you like to address that question to?
Please, any who feels solid comment on this.
Please go for it. Lacey, Metro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a very interesting idea, and of course, the Institute of Private Detectives, I think it exists in many countries in the world, but I'm not sure, and probably if to say stronger, I do not believe that such an institute could resolve the problems which businesses face here. So I really think that what we need here actually is comprehensive reform of all law enforcement agencies, bringing of new people in those law enforcement agencies. And that, without such a reform, actually, it's very difficult to make progress, because many things depend on them. Of course, then there is a court, but if those institutions they do not act properly, then what happens even if the court is not so bad, but if procedures are not respected during the pre-trial process, the case will be simply rejected in the court because of this. So the reform of law enforcement agencies, I think, is extremely important, of course, together with the overall reform of judicial system. But it doesn't prevent from creation of the Institute of Private Detectives, that it could work, and it works in cases like divorces, like when you want to follow your wife if she's doing right things or not. So this is probably the area where private detectives could play a good role, but in addressing serious cases of corruption, I think actually this institute at this stage probably will not play a sufficient role.
Particular point that if I now take a voice recording and somebody will demand a bribe from me and I will record that, will that be a solid argument, or will that be a solid evidence in the court? Will not be. So the problem is that maybe around this place somebody is giving bribe to somebody, and if another person sees that, nobody can actually collect evidence, and that's the main, and we have a bottleneck. And my question rather is, if the government does not have money to finance investigators who would be well qualified, who would be doing their best job, maybe business can take their money, and of course the private detectives would do their job at the best level because they will be well financed as lawyers are, and there will be a solid argument. Because we have seen recently a case where some public authorities were detained, and the prosecution did their bad job. They have poor salaries, they didn't collect.
Thank you, Bob. Henry, in your experience across the globe, have you seen any examples, successful examples on that list?
First of all, I have to say that it's not often the fact that there's no evidence. Sometimes you have the evidence. The problem is that there is no will to actually carry forward with an investigation or a prosecution. The evidence is there. There are many ways that this evidence can be accumulated, and I'm sure our colleague from Dannon has, as he says, he has a file. There's evidence. The problem is not so much collecting the evidence, is what is going to be done with that evidence when it's handed over. And we have to be very careful because the judicial systems in all these countries are in a way that has to be very balanced. You have the evidence that is presentable in a court has to meet certain requirements, certain standards. And that is because we have the protection of human rights as well. So we cannot say, oh, let's get private investigators, they will collect everything. There is a judicial system, so we need to focus on reform of the law enforcement here so that they do their job when the evidence is there, and the judicial system, which is the opponent that has to then carry the thing forward. So I'm not sure that there is a silver bullet like create a National Bureau of Private Investigators. There are any private investigators here, I'm sorry.
I think we have some excellent lawyers in the audience. I can see some very renowned sort of FCPA expert lawyers. So I think maybe later we can get a follow-up. So, are there any more questions?
It's not a question, it's a comment, probably. First of all, I want to defend Ukraine a little bit. It sounded really pathetic, it's like a hell. But still so many companies are here, so apparently there is something for business to do here. Second, corporations anywhere in the world are not angels. And I used to live in the States and work there as a very high-profile official. So I know that corruption does exist even in the States. So to say that Ukraine is such evil, maybe it's not pretty fair. And corporations that open businesses here in Ukraine, as far as I witness, often ignore compliance. It does exist pro forma, but de facto, it doesn't work. Very rarely companies come to lawyers, to outside counsels who really know what they're doing, asking how this compliance problem can work. Oh, we are 10 years here and we witness that somehow it doesn't really work. Or the blue-collar workers, they just don't get it. And then money comes on the scene. Oh, economy is down in Ukraine, it's a risky jurisdiction, so we'll be in trouble maybe in any event. So why bother making the compliance program work? Why do we care if this cleaning guy bribes someone or not? What are the chances that this guy will be caught? So my comment is that, Ukraine is a tough market, but we still have instruments in the law that allow the companies